Okay guys, I think it's 3 p.m. now, so we can start the session now. So welcome to today's session on social media for Indian businesses. My name is Kapil Nakra and I'm one of the founders of Digital Vidya. So today we have with us Chirantan Ghosh. Chirantan heads the communication of TCS Strategic Division for SMB space. Chirantan has a rich background in branding and advertising, and he's instrumental in driving awareness and shaping the reputation of esteemed organizations like Apple, MTV, Sony, AT&T, AOL Times Warner, and many other organizations. It's really my privilege to welcome him today. Welcome, Chirantan. So today's session is very, very interesting. It's social media for Indian businesses. In today's session, we'll actually take up various strategic aspects that every Indian business needs to go through while thinking about social media initiatives. Questions like whether to do it in-house or get an agency involved, how to do the brand reputation management, how to really motivate people from top to bottom, and the critical question like how do you measure the ROI of social media specifically for your vertical. So, and that's the set of questions that we'll try to address in next 60 minutes. So before I hand it over to Chirantan for taking us through, let me set the logistics of the session for those of you who are joining in for the first time. Right now, all of you are muted. So if today's session is actually divided into two parts. In the first part, we'll have an half-an-hour presentation, and the later half an hour, we'll keep it for open Q&A. If you have any question or concern, just type it down in the question section. There are already some questions that are posted on the website. So I'll take up those questions first, and then I'll take up the questions in the question panel in a chronological order. And we'll actually definitely try to address all possible questions you have. My only request is just keep it relevant to the topic of discussion today. So that's it from my side. So without taking any further time, Chirantan, over to you. You can start the session now.
Hi, thank you. Now, hope all of you are here today, not because of the Mumbai rains, because it's pouring cats and dogs in Mumbai, where I am. So I'll try to get you out of the doozy atmosphere and make it as quick and interactive session as possible. First, before we embark into social media, I wanted to touch upon something why social media is really a topic that we want to explore in marketing. It's always said sell only to a believer. What it essentially means is when you go and sell to a closed market, that means people who know who you are, what your products are, what your services are, then it's much easier to convert that into a lead and make a sales. Whereas when you go to an open market, that becomes quite a bit of a challenge. So with that note, let us see how India is faring in social space. First of all, we were having some parallel conversation in the CMO summits and similar talks within the marketing organization across Indian brands. And first question is, India is smart enough? So I bring you a couple of broad facts that are available in the public domain. If you see the top Facebook brands, they're present over there. You'll see a lot of telecom companies are over there. Some CPG products are out there, and some consumer goods are out there. So what it tells you essentially is people are looking into things that they find interesting. Moving forward, look at what Twitter brands are prevailing. Now, for Twitter, it usually means a conversation, because when I post something, I have an agenda in my mind, but not necessarily my audience is going to react that way. So if you take a look, the telecom companies are faring very well. Even some banking companies are there in the Indian space who have significant amount of followers. Granted, some of them are in-house traffic, but even though when it's not, it is driving a lot of conversation. Especially in the entertainment media section, you will see certain names that pop up, and the question that I'm trying to answer is India is consuming. India is consuming, whether it's entertainment or other content from the social media. Now, as marketers, we need to make ourselves relevant. Looking at the YouTube brands, you will see some of the kids' educations are also becoming very, very popular. It's not just the music industry that India loves to think about and hear, but it is also into serious domains where parents are really jived and they want to have the best for their kids as well. So if your content is interesting in social media, there will be consumption. Moving forward. Now, a lot of people in my peer circle get into social media because it's a fad to them. Their competition is in social media, so they need to be in social media. That is probably where we need to take a pause and reevaluate our goals. So what I usually like to tell my peers, and when I'm discussing strategy, is what do you really out of social media? Is it the reach? You want to increase the reach of your brand, product, services, or do you just want to harvest more leads? Just like how you have been traditionally doing in TV, in print, and other medias, we put out advertisement, we expect leads. Is that what you are really looking forward in social media? If so, it's quite all right, but be focused and say so. The last part, if you're out there just for the brand recall, great, you're the perfect company. Now, in order to increase your brand recall, you still need to make it a focused communication in terms of what exactly do you want to reach. Do you want to have 80,000 people eyeballing your content, or is it you want only 10,000 people reacting to your content? That is what one should think about in terms of projection, what you want to do. Next part that I always advocate is have a lean, mean team who knows what they're doing in terms of content, in terms of messaging, and in terms of subject matter expertise. But the most important point that I want to communicate throughout this presentation is you must syndicate your content. By syndication, I mean you need to distribute your content, and if your content is found in multiple different arenas, in channels, online digital media, then you're very successful. Now, once you have put out your feelers and you have distributed your content, now you really need to convert that in. In order to convert, there are certain tools of trade that you already know are existing, like the analytics. The pure role of analytics in any case, like BI also, is to help you focus. It helps you focus into what your TG is really doing, how they're interacting, and take that data to crystallize your message to get as much reaction as possible pertaining to your goal. These are your key performance indicators. Moving forward. Now, another thing that I harp on a lot, and I think it falls into deaf ears, is we need to actively do something called A/B testing. A/B testing is something that shows you what is working and what is not. Maybe out of A/B testing of a website or your social media project, you will end up knowing what content is really delivering for you. Maybe a video is doing the job much better than your brochure. Maybe it's just an infographic that really you need to put out instead of a 3-project write-down. So that is something that you need to take a call on after doing the A/B test. There is a thing called click metrics or heat signature of how your audience is really reacting to your content in the social media. Just like your website, you can do that in your social media portals as well. And right now, Twitter is also offering that kind of analytics for free. The last part that I want to say is swallow your pride, because this is the hardest thing to do as a content marketer. You have written a great line, you have written a great program, but your audience is not really reacting to it. So kill the program, start off, but also take the learnings. What were the curves that people were looking into, and then only build on it. So pride should not get in the way of your return on investment. That's why I keep on saying plan, project, and then reach. On the reach part, I wanted to take you through 4 pillars that are not only important for social media, but this is more of a digital media agenda. Before you even think about social media, what you need to make sure is your content is found. And by found, I mean it is popping out in searches. So the goal would be for the keywords and the subjects that you want to showcase yourself as the domain owner, you should be coming in Google Top 10. You have a lot of SEO expertise available today in form of agencies and also in-house. You can supplement that with Google AdWords and PPCs, all of that, to boost that search traffic for yourself. Now that you have accomplished the search part, people are finding you, you also need to take your content and share it to the maximum capacity that you want. But when you want to share it, you want it to be relevant. So whether you're using your Facebook, you're using your YouTube, you're using blogging, microblogging, all of that, it's well and good to put and engage yourself in the channels, but think of it, how are you sharing? Do not spread yourself too thin so you do not have a control. Sharing is a mechanism that is open-ended. Once you have done it, you only have control over the content so much. So think about it, how you want to go and share your content before you do it. The next part, again, my harping topic, syndication. You have created content and you have put it out, but only n number of people are going to share it because they find it interesting, or it is as stake owners, they are pushing that content out. So what you also need to do is come up with your game plan. Once you put out your content, where else it is going to be distributed? Is it going to be distributed across channels? You have some channel sales partners, you have your online alliances, you have other websites, you have review boards, forums, where all this content should immediately go through. You should fill it across. Now all of the search, share, and syndication part is done. Your content is out there. Now you really need to harvest it back in, convert it in. My favorite topic is EDM. By EDM, I do not only mean emailers. Emailers come to my Gmail box, but I also get EDMs in my LinkedIn. When people are giving me specific content pertaining to me, Chirantan Ghosh, for what I do as my living, that is what is interesting. And we all know that when you reach out to your target audience with a relevant offer, people tend to respond. And that's what we should be doing. Once you have harvested all of this data, convert it in with a nice messaging that people appreciate. Nothing like I would put into a spam box. Moving forward, I wanted to take a minute and explain what I meant is syndication. I have a thing called content blasting pipe, my own small little creation of trying to rationalize how the content flows through in the digital syndication model. In a best case scenario, you have a primary source like your website where you put forward your content. Now, what you also want to do is have peripheral awareness like forums and such. These might be your blogs, wikis, or newsletter that you're putting it out. These are awareness of your products, services, and your brand. The next part that you really want is what we are here today is talking about social content. Incidentally, social media is a platform, but it doesn't necessarily produce content. The content holding is elsewhere, whether it's your blog, wiki, website, newsletters, all of that. You need to populate it in your social media and make sure it goes through. which takes us to the next point. Once you have shared it, you want it to be relevant to people, that people remember it. There has been, I remember for one single telecom company, there was a jingle that came on. It started with a language that I didn't understand, but the harmony and the melody of it, it really caught me going. So what I did, though I didn't even subscribe to the telecom provider, but I went ahead and looked up that jingle in YouTube, found it, made it a caller tune for myself. This is what you really mean, is making it a bookmark. And guess what? When I found that advertisement of that jingle, I bookmarked it in my YouTube channel. So whether it's from Dig Delicious to Stumble Upon, take some moment, plan it out, and you would have a lot of momentum going on in terms of bookmarking when you're done producing your content. The last part is we're in a smart mobile era where we have pads and smartphones and everything is going on. So make your content available into all the reader platform, whether it's Google Reader or Androids or iPhone readers. All of these platforms are only going to help push your content to the maximum potential. You also have blog platforms like Technorarities and all the feed angels that take your content and spread it out. So what you can possibly do, one example that comes into mind without taking any names, I saw in the education domain there was one website that started distributed free courses, and that is quite a lot of content and it needs a lot of distribution. So they made sure that their content is ready to be consumed in all these levels. So interested people, when they go ahead and take those courses, automatically it is populated in their Facebook pages and all the social media channels. So in order to have your syndication working properly for digital media and social media, you need to have one single unified plan. That was the point that I wanted to convey in this slide. Moving forward, now what we talked about, social media or digital media, we have quite a bit of pickle that whether to go in-house or with agency. I'd like to take up a case of Nike. Nike, they went ahead and publicly stated that they're bringing out their social media capacity in-house completely because they wanted to understand their TG target audience and interact with the brand directly. That is one way to think about it. But there is also another thing that we need to take into consideration. For agencies, we can think about them as people who are a think tank also, who do creative thinking and give out the outputs to us for utilization. Or if you have a robust thinking engine in your own organization, you can have the agencies do tactical execution because the breadth of expertise is quite a large segment and it's scalable. What I mean breadth of expertise is in one segment you have all the capacities, whether it's just making the creatives or taking it out and publishing it, and all of these are available from the agencies. So in my opinion, there is no perfect answer. You need to take a call. But what I would suggest right now is to take a step back and think what we as in-house should think about. First thing is strategy. You should be thinking about what you want to accomplish. You might even have agency give you ideas, but in the end you have to formulate that strategy, how you want to go and engage your target audience. That needs to be done in-house, and I feel very strongly about it because you are leveraging your learnings and experiences. You know how your customers and prospects behave. Nobody knows that better than you. So if you can formulate the strategy and have agency take care of it, it will drive a lot of value for your end receivers. Also, another point that being a geek myself, I always try to say, if you have the capacity in-house, do a lot of research and data mining and keep on measuring your agency on that. Because if you give the filtered data, there is a limited scope of operation and it remains very focused. So what you want to get out of your social media strategy is very defined, and an agency outside third party will not be spreading it too thin and not giving out what you're really looking for. I gave you a little bit of a thought on what a social digital team might be. This is not my own IP. This is from ITSMA. Thanks to them, they have put forward some thoughts on that. This is something that you can think about at your leisure, how best to formulate a winning team and have your digital social media working out to the best advantage. The last part that I wanted to say, when Google came about riding in the highest horses, they used to say content is king. In my opinion, content is the king's knight, the guy who comes charging with the sword and gets the thing done. So you don't necessarily want to be a content producer because you might not be in the content industry, but make sure your content is relevant. The keyword is relevancy. If you are in consumer good consumption, you want to make sure people actually like how attractive your product is and talk about it. If you're into entertainment, you want your content to be consumed, whether with a payment of a token price or free. But in the end, you just need to make sure your content is delivering at the cutting edge that you want to harvest out of social media. Because if the content is not right, no matter what you want to do in the social media channels, it will not be successful. So plan for it and take it forward. My answer, agency versus in-house, you need to have a healthy balance. You can start out completely in-house. All the channels are available: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can start in-house and then you can get the agencies involved. Or you can do it the other way around. It's a nice environment where you can collaborate and get absolutely stunning material, because that's all you want for your audience. Otherwise, all that money that you're spending in social media goes down in the drain. Moving forward, brand reputation management. We always have this coming across. First, do we need to go into social media? That is one of the things that I always keep on hearing no matter where I go speaking. The reason is there is an inherent fear. What is going to happen if I have a bad PR? So let's skin that first at a time. Keep on monitoring. You can keep an audit of all the online buzz, and you can have the analytics help you focus how to drive these conversations. I just went ahead and mentioned what are the simple steps you can take to make sure you have a monitoring engine. All the things that I have listed over there, some of them are premium companies that provide you the service, but things like Google Alerts and Cyber Alerts, stuff like that, it is completely free. Know the keywords that are driving your conversation, put up a Google Alert on that, and you should have a lot of information of what kind of dialogue is going on. There are other companies that provide. Also, here's my sales speech. TCS does a very good job. We have very nice platforms where you can monitor all your social media activities and focus on where to do what. Taking it forward, once you're done monitoring, you get all these alerts and you know what is going on. You need to engage. By engaging, what I mean is you can even identify old conversations or that have happened in silo, not in the same forum that you're trying to. So try to cross-populate all these conversations. Maybe somebody said something in YouTube, you want to bring it to Twitter and engage that person and say, hey, you had said something very interesting about my product. whether it's positive or negative, do you want to comment on this? But make sure that you are not saying for the sake of saying it. Make it a point where people are adding value, because I personally am interested where I can give my opinion and taking it seriously. I think most people like that, to have that limelight and give value added return. So position it in such a way. Last part, what we talked about, if you have a bad PR, you have somebody bad mouthing yourself in Twitter or Facebook, you don't necessarily have to delete it. Deleting will only aggravate that guy. Moderation is a good way that you first moderate what are the comments that are going to be published. But if you want to have a complete open reaction with your prospects or your customers, start it out. Whenever there is a problem, give a positive approach. The first 4 lines should be about how positive your product is, and then tell them that we're taking it offline. I'm having somebody call you back. The reason is, when other people see it, they only read the positive message that you have written, not the part that I'm taking it offline and I'm having a conversation with you. That's one way to do it, and the old school way is, if it's Twitter, just drown it. If it's Facebook, drown it. If it's YouTube, delete it. There are all these things, but I would like to believe that when you're offering your products and services, your heart is where your offering is. So you will definitely show the value to your end consumer that these are the things that we are working on. What you have shared is great, but this is what we already have, and this is a great product. So you need to be crafty about how you position that messaging. The last part is creating buzz. Now, oftentimes I see people go ahead, talk about their products and features and everything, try to be interesting as best they can with puns and jokes and acid remarks, but in the end, you have to be relevant. Being relevant is the key. So if you're relevant to your target audience, you will get the reaction that you want, and your product, services, and brand will have that much eyeball and brand resonance. Moving forward. See, many companies start out with a digital media and social media initiative, but later on they have their CXOs not so motivated, their employees not so motivated to share your agenda in the social media plan. Trust me, I faced it myself. But the key part is you have to make them the star. Whether it's by them, I mean either a focus group of CXOs or your employees. So one thing that I always advocate is you can recognize people in your organization, whether it is your employees or your customers or your partners, and the moment you start recognizing them, they start sharing in their own in-network. Next part is you can start controversial topics or moderated controversial topics as issues and challenges. Seed out a discussion, let them take it forward, but you need to have a tight rope on that. If it's going in a tangent that you don't want, try to curve it out. So somebody needs to be there dedicatedly in your social media monitoring to take all of that. Last level is there should be a lot of pride, and this pride is what really fuels social media participation. So my example that I shared with you would be maybe sharing a badge. For my company, we do a lot of business strategy. So if we went ahead and made a quiz or a game that TCS is recognizing this person because they have given such a valid input and there is a merit badge, he will automatically put that in his Facebook. Not because that he has done that, it's also because of recognition given by a third party which is credible in the market. So by that, my company is having that much exposure. That being said, the last part that we wanted to say is use your employee base, use your own assets as much as you can, whether it's your partner programs, whether it's your employee events. If you start putting out small little live cast events, it doesn't take much. You can just take a webcam, put it up, have one of your events, and put it in YouTube. All that is happening is there are a lot of people whose faces are being shown. These people are going to start sharing that content. If you're doing a product, a video, don't bring in actors. I always try to say this: use your employees, use their faces, use their photos, and once you have done that, models are great looking, but if you use your employees, they are bound to share it to 10 people, and those 10 people are also going to share it to 2 more people. Imagine the trajectory of sharing that you're creating. So just a food for thought, not really applicable for everybody, but still you can give it a thought. In this section, there is also one more way how you can tackle this. Everybody kind of knew that Jeff Davis' story of Dell Hell and how Dell paid for that blogging. For a long time, Michael Dell got involved and all of that. But do you already know that Dell has created something like a social media community team? SMAP, I would say, and it provides governance and training to all the business units. So what you have done essentially is isolated people who are passionate about social media, because you know not everybody is going to talk in social media and keep on yapping just like how I am doing. So you isolate the key people and tell them how to govern the initiative, so that sense of pride, ownership, and responsibility is going to move it across the organization, and you will have a lot better retention. I'm pretty sure you will have some questions on this, and I'd be happy to take it in the post session. Moving forward, how to measure return on investment on service verticals. I've put on some ideas. These are things that these are starters you can think about. LinkedIn, I always advocate for service verticals because you're selling a service. So you need to be relevant to one single person. So when I see a banner in LinkedIn, it is customized, and that banner, if it comes Chirantan, did you know that in digital media we have an awesome practice of creating Pinterest? Would you be interested in sending an email to us or see our work? That is speaking directly to me. So the company who is advertising for their Pinterest, or an agency in this ground, will have a lot more recognition from me, and I might even click that banner. So think about it, engaging one-on-one. In blogging, there are many things that you can do. First, I would say get some thought leaders, whether internal and external, get some articulate stakeholders, and have professional writers write it for them. Because not everybody is meant to write in public media. You do not want to be defamed. So give them some help and publish it in their name. Once it is done, you would have a lot of momentum, and that momentum is going to carry your blogging initiative to a large extent. Video blogging is a great way where you do not want to put a lot of content, a lot of jargons. One of the things that we're doing in this webinar, I could have just presented these slides in a different way, and it would have delivered only so much. Video is a very, very impressive mechanism. If you can make your story to be told in an articulate fashion, nothing better than that. So think about video blogging. Guest posting is when you can go into different blogs and invite other editors to post in your blog. This is something that creates a lot of momentum. That takes me to the next part of expert blogging. If you can have the top 50 bloggers who are visible in Google and come and write in your blog as guest bloggers and industry experts, you will have that much focus, because people, there are a huge audience who are already reading them, and you want to funnel that traffic to your product and services. Same about the mashup blog rolling. What it means is, once you have one single post written in whatever domain, you can have bloggers rewrite about that. So you're creating a huge momentum. Let them give opinion, because without opinion, your service or product will not succeed as much in social media. So let them review it. They might have 10 positive points and 2 negative points, but deal with it. It's your product, your services. You can fine tune it. You can address it again in comments. And of course, you can comment in all the related posts, what is happening. Many print magazines now have their online blogs. So if you are not advertising in those magazines, just go down over there when there is a related article, write about it in the comment section. Now, this mashup syndication is where you formulate a whole team where you want to cascade your message. So once I write one single paper, or my division in charge is writing a thought leadership paper, it is my intent that every single digital mention is pushed to all the tech bloggers, because I'm into the tech space, and editors, so it's displayed to a larger audience, and it's also shared by feed and blog rolling. You can push your content to leading feed distributor portals to have a lot more resonance. If you are into if you're into service verticals, you can also put it into e-commerce and listing portals, because say one of the products that my company offers is an ERP for SMBs. I would go ahead and register into e-commerce portal where they are comparing all the ERPs. So it's generating that much of social volume. Incentivize the people as much as you can do. It might be the best bloggers internally and externally, and make sure you celebrate them so they start talking about you more. The social influence of this is, you want to first create out a spectrum that who are the influencers, and then engage with them. So you might have a list of total 50 people who talk about this domain that you're trying to sell in, and you need to connect and converse with them. You can use PPC a little bit for the recall for your product and services, because once they know what you're really talking about, it might promote a dialogue in the organization. When I say PPC and all of that, you don't really have to start with a robust program. As you can see, there are many coupons available. Free coupons started out. In the end, just to summarize, you measure your social media endeavors by leads, queries, and mention. How many leads you are getting can be measured. How many queries you are getting in all of the platforms should be aggregated. And the mention is just your brand recall. So these are the 3 pillars that usually your social media vertical can be evaluated. Moving forward, how to effectively use social media and product verticals. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but in the interest of time, I would like to go through this one a little bit quicker. Blogging communities are already there. So if you have a product, you want to put it to all these communities so people can start talking about your product. Negative, positive, that's a completely different take, but you can engineer that. You have seen so many consumer goods have taken off just because of good blogging. One example would be the iPhone that I use. When it first came into the market, it got analyzed to the hell of it. And the device has so many flaws. I use it, but I love it. As a brand loyalist, I love it, but at the same time, there are people who are talking about it. So positive, negative, that mix will get you into the public eye. Facebook is always used for an emotional ground connect. So whatever you're trying to do, think about the end user. It is not about your campaign. It is not about what a great idea you have. It is about what do you have for me. That needs to be the primary content in Facebook for product verticals. For Twitter, there is a daring program, as I would like to say. If you have that much confidence on your product and services, make a help desk. Go ahead, engage with your prospects and customers on a real time. Many organizations are doing it. There are negative comments, but the way how you handle it, that kind of paints a different picture of you as an organization and a brand that you take well criticism and you improve upon. That is what a consumer really wants to hear, that you improve. You might not have the perfect product, but you will really improve. Next part is in-app advertisement. Everybody puts their advertisement in applications, but what really takes the cake is only few people give a rewards model of unique pricing. Say I want to buy one single beverage. In this case, I'm just taking a name, Coke. A 200 ml of Coke should not cost the same as I'm buying it or than that of a teenager. A teenager buys Cokes much more. So teenager Ram should get more benefit and get a lesser price on every single bottle of Coke than that of me, who buys a bottle of Coke probably maybe once in 3 months. So I pay the full price, he pays a discount price. How to do that? There is RFID codes, there are barcodes, there are SQL readers, all of them are there, QR readers. You can implement any of these strategies, and what you would have is a base of consumer who are jazzed about you and are looking forward to your advertisement. They're not just looking forward to get a glimpse of your product, but they're looking forward to your advertisement when it comes up and utilize it. This is where you can justify your advertisement money in social media. Documents sharing, these are generic things in product verticals. You can share your products in SlideShare, Stripe, Pinterest, and imbibe them in the post. It creates that much level of awareness. It's for more of an awareness campaign, if you will. Moving on, the next level is feed syndication. Whatever you do in online media needs to be fed to your publication groups and partners. That way it gets mentioned to a larger audience and you have a bigger exposure. We have covered some of the two next suggestions in the previous slide, so I will take you to an example how I mean the syndication is going to work out for you. The feed syndication, that is. See, I have already one single client feature. Now, once I do that, I want to take that and release it in the PR blog, blog roll center, article experts, and all of that. What really happens is now this article comes to one of the editors in his personal device. I'm not pitching to him. My PR agency is not pitching to him, but he's writing about that. Now that is something that we call as mention. Remember in the previous slide we talked about one of the ROIs is mention. This is how you can get mention without spending one single dime. So feed syndication really works once you plan it out with a careful thought how you want the end to be perceived. So the floor is open for questions.
Thanks a lot, Chirantan. This was definitely a very, very great session. So guys, you have any question or anything that you want to be addressed, you can just put down your question. I'll just take up some of the questions. So before I actually take up the question that all of you have put in, let me just take the liberty of having a couple from my side. Chirantan, you have worked with so many major brands, and one of the question that keep coming up to me by various major brands is how to really start with formulating a social media policy, especially the organizations which haven't done much in that space right now. And now that they are facing challenge, you mentioned that we should involve employees. That actually helps in the promotion bit. But the moment they open up the social media for the organization, a lot of problems have started to like in terms of the kind of conversation that are going out. So they're facing a lot of issues in that regard. So and ultimately, so they're not really sure whether it is going positive for them or not. So when it comes to drafting a social media policy and making sure that people really follow it, what are your guidelines and how should a company really go about that?
Let me give you two sports analogies before I answer this question. One is a board game, chess. Another is American football. Before you start a game, you already have thought in both the games how you want to attack the player. How is it that you want to score a field goal, or how is it that you want to do a checkmate? So making the first 2 pawns move is not the part of your digital media that you should be thinking. So before you address the ideal case scenario, your company has not gone social and you want to start it up. First, you need to find out what is it that you want out of social media. Once you have decided those pillars, like I said before, then you evaluate where is your target audience. Is it in Twitter? Is it in Facebook? Is it watching more videos in YouTube? Or is it more professional, LinkedIn? Because I'll give you an example in one of the companies that I have been on a digital marketing role. It was a complete technology company and it only sold to enterprise level people. So it didn't mean quite a lot for me representing that brand to go on a Facebook where it's more personalized content. So whereas we went into LinkedIn, it's a professional forum that is dedicated to help professionals. So if you make your value service offering relevant to professionals, you're getting more interest. You might have a Twitter to build it up, but in the end, you are helping professionals make it work for them. So to sum it up, what I'm trying to say, find what channel is working out for you. Where is your audience really staying? Focus your activities on that, and I really cannot urge as much. Just pick up 2 channels, no more than that. For the first 2 quarters, plan it out. What exactly do you want to do? Plan out all the contingency factors. If something hits the fan, how are you going to handle that? When you have done all of those homeworks and started out, again, your content really needs to be the king over here, or in my words, king's knight. Then you would really have the outcome that you're looking forward and little less of a barrier. In terms of preparing your group, you might have dedicated people. If you have 5 dedicated people to start off and keep on the momentum, that is a good way to start one single quarter. Does that sort of answer the question?
Yeah. By the way, just a question. Is social media channels open for everyone in TCS?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Very nice question. TCS has something that is called Know Me. We have our own social media channel, which is pretty much all you could dream about. We have our own YouTube going on. We have our own blogging going on. We have our own Twittering going on. But there is a huge segment of TCS that has open liver to access social media channels, especially for my business unit. When we went ahead and created our YouTube brand channel, I made sure that everybody is exposed to my content. But then again, I think I know where your question is coming from. You can have moderated access. you do not want people going to YouTube channel and looking at things that are not really driving your goals and agenda as a corporate. So filter out the content. There are agencies that can help you out. People, my IT services use Barracuda and all of these filters where I can white label a string of content that only those content will be viewable, not the others. For example, I do not want a person to go ahead and see a comedy show in YouTube while they're working. So when it comes to that content, it is filtered out. Does that sort of answer your broader question?
Absolutely. So, I mean, start with the objective, then look for the channel that suits that objective, and then appropriately involve other people. That's the message that I'm taking back, and that's something that I'm going to communicate to all the people who will ask me the same question. So great. Let me just now take up some of the questions from the website first. So the first question is, which is the topmost one, is there are many social media platforms available on internet. How will you decide which platform are most effective? I think you've already answered that question. The one additional question in that is, how effective is Facebook in the B2B space? I think you've mentioned that if you need emotional involvement, then the Facebook is important, right? So is there any other sort of relevance of Facebook you have seen in B2B companies?
There is one in B2B companies such as mine. We have a lot of our channel partners and alliance partners working with us. We want them to be energized about our product, service offerings, and even our events. So Facebook is a place where you can do that. We recognize our partners, and that is a YouTube video that has been cross-populated into Facebook. But if I went ahead and shared my collateral brochure, nobody would even look at it. But if I'm recognizing, say, Mr. Ram on this social media platform, which is Facebook, he is going to be more than happy and share it with his friends because you're celebrating him, not my company. So on a B2B space, it's very important to understand who your influencers are and how to fuel their ego.
Got that. Great. Another question is asked by Dolly Bhasin. She's saying, what are the offerings of Tata Group for SMB in the social branding and SMS space? So do you guys, like you mentioned that Dell is, I was not aware by the way, of the Dell social media community services. And since you guys are also doing a good job in that regard, do you have any offering for SMB space?
We can definitely take this online, Dolly. I really do appreciate the question. Please seek me out in LinkedIn or Twitter. I've put my credentials over there, and we will definitely take that conversation privately, because I wouldn't like to promote my company in this audience.
Right. So great. Thanks a lot. I think other questions that are there on the website are already being answered. So now I'll take up some of the questions which have been asked in the chat section during the session today. Yeah, Gaurav was asking this question. Can you share some example on social bookmarking? You've said a lot about it. Are you aware of some good case studies on people producing some real good results? Or in your case, have you seen social bookmarking really working?
Right. Let me share something that I found very relevant. I'd give two examples, one in a service industry, one is product industry. I really didn't go ahead and give that full name out, but people who are in Indian geography, they would understand a specific jingle that came from Idea, which created a lot of buzz. So what they had done is taken a TV commercial, a song, and then put it on YouTube, and then they bookmarked in a couple of leading websites that you could make caller tunes out of it. So when I am really looking towards that single jingle and my cell phone pod is iTunes and I don't find that caller ringtune, I just Google it up just like anybody else for that caller tune. Then this bookmark is actually coming in my attention, not necessarily the video and the jingle. So you understand where it really helps you in bookmarking when a bookmark is shared, and that is from a service perspective. And on a product industry, there are a couple of shoes that people wear. They're shaped totally like your feet. That means you have wiggle room for your toes and everything. Lot many athletic accessory companies go ahead and make them. What I found is somebody went ahead and put forward a whole analytical diagram of that shoe, which is shaped like your foot, and how the air passes through it in Pinterest. And I didn't actually land into that company's Pinterest, but somebody who had pinned it, which is favorite bookmarked it. And it came to me, and I started looking up more in the product because I wanted to buy it for my diabetic mother. Does that give you a use case?
Yeah, definitely. Gaurav, I hope you have got your answer. In case you need any further clarification, just type down the whatever question you have now. So I'll take a few more questions now. Simultaneously, what I'm doing is, since the time is short, I'm launching a poll question in front of you. A lot of you know that as part of Digital Vidya, we keep doing workshops and online courses. So this question is regarding that. If you want to attend any one of them, just click on the appropriate option and someone from our team will call you. So this is a poll in front of you, and I'll take up the questions. One is asked by Prashant. He says that my TG is only CIOs, CTOs, and senior IT managers and decision makers. Will social media help?
Social media definitely does help. I'll give you an example of my previous employer, and what they did was they had a CTO blog. For serious people, you need to have serious content. You need to figure out how best to give away. You have huge thought leadership white papers available. Now, if you go ahead and skin them out in the right frame and push it to the CXOs from LinkedIn, if you flash the banners a couple of times, one time they are going to be pretty much interested and click and read your thought leadership paper, and they might delegate somebody to look it up furthermore. And if you have good analytics to support yourself, it will come and give you that return on investment you're looking for, which in this case is a lead.
Got that. So I would, LinkedIn, Twitter, these channels will definitely help in this case. That's the channel that you are recommending?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn is probably the best network to engage CIOs and CXOs of B2B enterprise sales.
Got it. Great. Okay, so there's an interesting question by Kala Ramanathan. He's saying that my company is going to be launching a digital product in the mobile space, and it's a completely new concept, unheard of before. So how can I use social media to educate my TD with the concept as well as to help me promote the product? So for like concept selling, how do you think one should approach social media?
I'm a little unclear in terms of what is the goal again from social media.
I'll just repeat it again. They are launching some product in the mobile space, and according to them it's a new concept, unheard of, and they want to use social media to educate my TG as the concept, right, and to promote also.
So I would like to take it into different segments. If you are creating a unique application or concept in the mobile space, you have two target audience in my mind. People who are going to be the end user, the Tom, Dicks and Harrys, the Chirantans of the world who use mobile devices, who will probably use that technology as an end user. And then you have the network service providers who are probably going to buy into your product or subscribe to your product, however is your sales model. So you have two kinds of people that you need to engage. First, people, you simply need to do what most marketers do catch and bait. So you give them some content that is completely brain teaser in forms of engaging them. It might be again LinkedIn, maybe in their Twitter, maybe even you can. I personally do not like when people start asking professional questions in my Facebook account, but you can even try doing that in a crafty way. But essentially on LinkedIn and Twitter, you can engage these people and give them a teaser of your module that, hey, this is a unique concept. Videos are very helpful articulating your ideas in these fashions. And once you have done that, you get some amount of return. Now comes the next part, the end users. If you first think about how do you want them to use it? How would it create maximum benefit for you? Then think about how is it going to benefit them in their personal life. Completely detach yourself from your corporate objectives, goals, and KPIs, and think as an end user if it's making any sense. So create a value over there. And
hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I lost you somewhere in between. So the last word I heard is end user. Right.
So as an end user, what you can do for your end user is find out what is the value proposition for them and what is it that you want them to do. So in order to the end user to do what you want them to do with your product, first think out all the goals that they need personally themselves. Me, Chirantan, as a mobile user, how would I benefit using your solution? Now, pertaining that, create a material and promote it. Over here, the channel itself becomes immaterial. Probably in a Facebook, it would gain more viral trajectory if you make it a very nice video presentation or a infographic similar, or a maybe promotional offer. You can put it in Facebook. It in a personal touch, it will go viral and reach furthermore audience who are mobile users. That would be my take on it.
Got that. I hope that would have definitely helped. So guys, it's already 4:03. I'll just take a couple of more questions. One is asked by Asmita Das. She's saying, is it advisable to have website brand manual? If yes, what all should it incorporate?
There is a thing called brand manuals, but it is usually said in a broader way for branding and corporate guidelines. It is called visual identity guidelines. Under visual identity guidelines, you have your social media guidelines. Because one of the things that I did for my present organization is created a handbook for each of the segments, because not everybody is going to use the social media in the same fashion. So for my partners, I have one single guidebook that I syndicated. I have one single guidebook for my employees, and the other one I just put openly as terms of usage for my prospects when they come in, because no matter what I say, my prospects will use all my assets that are online in the way they choose. So you can have a little bit of handle among your employees and your partners and associates, but you really have no handle of how people use your content in the open web. So you can have identity guidelines, which are great, but don't think about it that other people are going to conform to your rules.
Got it. Great. I think that's definitely helpful. So it's already 4:05, so it's time we can close the session now. So at this point, I really want to thank everyone out there for taking 1 hour out. I know what it means. I've been trying to do something like that for quite some time, but just not getting time out of my work schedule. You guys made it. Thanks a lot for that. And I also want to thank Chirantan for a very, very great and informative session. I'm sure it will definitely help us while we will be formulating our social media strategy. So thanks a lot for a great session. And you will be actually receiving the recording of the same session sometime early next week. In case you have any question, we'll do a blog post on the same session, and you will receive a link to that also. You can put up your question in the comment section there, and then we will respond to you in the comments.
Well, thank you all from my end as well.
Thanks. Thanks, Chirantan. Thank you, everyone. The session is closed. Thanks a lot.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be